Well, it's another day out here working with the boat. I was going to drop the motor on down in there. I had it right over the engine bay, but I went ahead and rolled it back again just a little bit because I didn't finish this wiring that comes up here for the tilt on this Quicksilver shifter. The wiring is indeed bad. The power wire's good, the white wire's good, but the blue one is bad. And so I can tilt the outdrive. You see, I'm bring it down, but I can't bring it up. I believe is what it is, one or the other. So I had this harness right here, and that is a marine grade harness that I had bought a while back, and I got it fed down through and down here to the back. And right now I'm going to put connectors. And it's not only the harness that's bad, but also secondary, the switch is bad too. So it had a dual problem. And what I'm going to do for that for the moment, because I'm going to have to wait on getting that switch, is I've got this little double throw switch right here that I can put up here at the dash. One of these right here is not doing nothing anyway. In fact, it's broke. So I'm going to move the wiper one over one. I'm going to put this over there to the side, and I'll have an up down right there for the moment. I left the harness a little long to feed it up there for now. And then once I get that switch at a later date, I can move it down to where it's supposed to be there on that switch. Just shorten the harness up or just curl it up a little bit and leave some slack in it there. But I definitely want that. That's a pain if you can't raise that up when you're coming in or going out and set for your planning on your boat and all. So I'll make use with this little double action switch right here for right now and do what I gotta do. Right now I need to get back down there, get those wires right there tied up. I need to get that pump screwed in place. Got a little excited wanting to drop that in yesterday, but it's just not time yet. And I need to put some stainless steel cotter pins in that steering and those little pins on there, because when you're driving it, those things could work up and come out. And so I need to get two little stainless cotter pins into those pins that's holding the steering cables in right there and the little cylinder. At that point, then it's ready to go in. Now there's one other thing that I'm thinking about hitting the brakes on, putting the motor in yet too, and I'll show you what that is. And I just came in from some little ordering, and there's another flaw in this boat that I just can't stand. And yesterday after power washing in here, I realized about that. I had forgot about it, and that is that this back corner back here holds water. Yeah, they did not build it flat. It's low in that corner. The water gets as deep as like 5/8 of an inch deep over in that corner right there, and it's right where the batteries are. And just now I ordered a battery tray like this, but a dual one, all mounted in one piece. So instead of me having to put a tray in a tray, I would just have one large tray made for two of these batteries. I ordered on Amazon. It was free shipping. Wasn't very much money, $30 or whatever, you know. So worth it. New hardware, new straps with it. I don't have the strapping off for this. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to move the batteries out of the way. I am going to cut a piece of marine plywood that I have here. I'm going to laminate it down to the floor up in the corner there. I want to make it go all the way against this outside of the boat, against the port side right there. I'm going to bring it over here far enough here and have this whole area in this back corner up, and then I'm going to put a coat of epoxy over the top of that. And I hear a horn. I've got a delivery here. Highly aggravating when water stands in that back corner of the boat, because with the water, things stick in it, you know, little debris and stuff and all, and it always ends up with a lot of muck and dirt and everything all gummed up back in there. Just a total mess. So I'm going to bring that up, and I think I'm going to go ahead and stop and do that today. It won't take all that long for me to do it, and it'll save me a whole lot of headache in the future. it'll have the batteries up in the dry. I mean, they're still in the bottom, that's no problem, but it's just cleaning it and keeping it clean, and all that debris and that water always there. And then on top of that, there is a wood core underneath that fiberglass, and right now, thank goodness, it's still good, but there is screws that go down through that hold those batteries and battery trays in place and strap. And so that means that there's always potential of water to weep in around the screws. Even with sealer, I mean, things give way and get old over time, you know, we all know that. I'm a testament. and I would like to also prevent that by it not standing in water right there. So I'll raise the other one up at a higher level. I'll be screwing into the one on the higher level then, not the one that's the main structure part of the boat right there. I think that's probably going to be beneficial too. So I'm gonna get busy on that and make these things happen, and just put the brake on for possibly another day before I drop the motor in. In fact, I can do that battery tray back there and go ahead and drop the motor in and be letting that epoxy cure and touch the paint up on it and still drop the motor. So just the main thing is to get in there and get on it. Wiring harness change going up to the controller. For the remote, for the tilt on the back of the boat, it's all working great now. Like I say, I had to use that little two-way switch. That two-way switch used to be my old trim tab switch here before the new one, and so that's why I had a two-way rocker on it, and that's working great for a temporary replacement until I can get a new one in for that shifter. But it definitely had a bad harness going back too, so got a new harness on there, and it's all working now, so that's great. When I lifted the boat up, or the motor up, not the boat up, when I lifted the motor up, I realized that I had put a new motor mount on one side, but I hadn't put the other one. There it is. So it's hanging here in the air, but I got up here and it looked pretty rusty. So what I did is I took the grinder, made a slice through the nut right there so that it would loosen tension on it around those threads, be able to spread open a little bit. When I put a ratchet on it, and of course then it popped right on loose. Before I take this on off, I want to show you something about them not keeping up the anodes on this boat before I bought it. Right underneath here on the bottom of this mount, when it's up in the air, you can see it's really ate up. See that, just caustic, look at that, just flipping apart. And you see how it's all ate up right here on the motor mounts. And that is, once again, other pieces in the boat sacrificing because the anodes weren't kept up. And it's when I put all this out drive on, that was one of the first things I did, is I put a new anode kit, and I bought an additional one, and I have it in the garage. And just everything will sacrifice itself that's not supposed to, and will start eating away if you don't keep those up. I mean, you'll literally destroy the boat. So everything you see here is not original from this boat. I've changed every bit of it out, because all the original stuff right here, you'll see, this is it here, and it was just absolutely destroyed. Look at that. This is a backup that I have right here, and this is, even between these two, just look at the difference. That's from a water leak and letting salt water leak inside, and that's also from not doing the anodes and keeping these ground straps up also. So all that's been addressed. Then when I had the motor way up in the air, I looked in the bottom of the oil pan, needed to be addressed a little bit too. The paint was flaking on it, and it was dirty. Now it was oily, so it hadn't truly rusted, but it had the potential to rust underneath there, and I didn't want that to happen. That's a place you just really can't see. In fact, I didn't even notice it until it was way up in the air. And so I took a brass brush on the drill, the one like we used on our well pump, and cleaned the whole bottom of that pan up. And I have put several coats of paint and a few other places too that I could see the underside once had it up in the air. So I'm just still addressing everything. I let it hang there and dry, and then I put another coat, and I'm dressing this motor mount at the moment. And I'm gonna have to have both hands here. I can't use the camera to crank this nut off here, so give me just a minute. And there it is. Pretty rusty, pretty ate up. And got the new one here. I got to clean up again. Every time you think you got the boat cleaned up, you got to do it again. There's a new one. And so what I'm going to do right now is set the height on this bottom nut. So I'm going to go with the old one here. I know it was already set for this boat before. And then I'll put this little lock piece over onto it also. And set the top nut, and that should have me pretty close on to where I need to be. Get this out of my way. All right, and there it is. And I ain't gonna tighten it down yet until the motor's set in the boat, because I am gonna go through a gimbal bearing engine alignment procedure on here. So I'll leave it not seated down just yet, just snugged up until then. The repaired wiring harness in the boat, not the one I just did on the remote, but on the main engine itself. The original one was damaged in this boat. I've rebuilt this whole harness on this motor, built it off myself. This is where it's going to connect up. And so I got everything marked here, tack, water temperature, the key on power right here. This is the main power going up, just everything here. This is your starter wire, you know, on and on. So there you go, right there with all of that. Power steering's ready to connect. Got the return line here also for the power steering. This is your raw water in. Yeah, new mounts, new starter, new fuel pump, new filters, new water pump, new carburetor, new plugs, new wires, new distributor cap, rotor cap, all of that. Distributor's been changed and updated. And once I get it down in the boat, I'm going to address these. I'm going to do them down inside the boat. I didn't even tighten these up, as you see here. It's got a loose washer here. I do have a couple of them snug to keep any moisture out, but I do have new gaskets in here for these risers, and I'll be putting those on down in the boat once everything's said and done. All right, well, there we go. I'm going to begin the procedure of dropping this in. Okay, so I got my motor mount bolts ready here, front and rear. Some anti-seize to put on. Rusty hands. All right, well, I've got it down in here. I haven't pulled off the stern drive yet to get the shaft out of the way down there, so that's what I need to do. All right, so we got that off here. I knew it'd be a piece of cake because it hadn't been on there all that long. And looks pretty good. There's a little bit of sealer debris right there. This gasket is actually pretty new, but I got another brand new one I'm gonna put on it when I put the other drive on. So right now, with that out of the way, I can go ahead and get the motor set back in place, and that's my main goal at the moment right now, is get that motor set back in place. Well, I've got the motor in and setting down on all the mounts, but I'm going through the alignment procedure. Here's the alignment bar, but without even looking at the bar, I can see down in there that the back needs to come up. So what you do is you lower the front mount and it pivots the back up, because that shaft, that coupler, sticks out past the rear motor mount. So if you let down on the front, it brings the back of that coupler up, and that's, I can see that's exactly what needs to happen. So I'm gonna go in there and adjust those front mounts, bring them down. They're new and they can be a little out of adjustment. I tried to just eyeball them as close as what the original ones were. So go up there and start doing that, and also check the left and right and see if everything's pretty good. That tool should slide right in perfect all the way, the coupler in and out. And get up there and fight that. Let's go up here and check it out up top real quick. So here it is. I've still got not really no tension, just enough to kind of have it snug on the front at the moment. But I wanted to keep it on there just in case I need to use that for adjusting the motor. Like right now, I'll take a little pressure off the mount, turn the nut, and then let it come back down. So that's where I'm at. Man, big difference of the space that this V8 takes up compared to that little diesel motor. Big difference. I was really spoiled to the freedom of the space I had in there. Boy, one of the main things is this power steering pump. You would not want to dare get down in here with this motor running. Your clothes would get caught in that belt. Oh man, it would be a bad situation. A lot more danger here at the moment with this big open belts and stuff. Really did like the little diesel setup, but it just not working out because the difficulty of parts and the price of the parts, getting them here, the customs fees and all. I can buy the parts when I'm abroad. It's going to take time to break the motor down, gathering these parts up, and I just want to use the boat. So you never know. At a later date, it's an easy swap back. I'm not saying I would do that. Probably will not do that, to tell you the truth. This boat's going to be more sellable if I want to sell it with this V8 in it here in the Philippines. The Filipinos that can afford these kind of boats, they also don't care about the cost of the fuel. They just want to go out and play. So I don't know. My future's probably gonna, if I'm not satisfied with this, my future's probably gonna be, like I say, over in a catamaran. It really is. That's really the direction I'm wanting to go. So we'll see. Time will tell. Time will tell. I'm not making any decisions right now. Right now I'm just going to set this all up. And this boat's so much nicer than it used to be. Very enjoyable doing all of this. Well, the alignment is just perfect on this motor here. It is really nice. And I got the gas outdrive. This is a diesel one, and the gear ratios are different. And usually the gear ratio is right here in the top, right here in this gear is usually where the gearing's different at, but sometimes after 1996 they could be different in the bottom also. They pretty much stayed the same until about 96, and they started changing up the gear ratios top and bottom, and they actually came out with a whole spectrum of gear ratios in the top end. Before it was kind of standard pretty much, you know, it was just a couple in the top end on different size gas motors, probably versus back in the day when they had like the 4 cylinders and the straight 6s, and then the V8s and the V6s, and then of course then you got your diesel drives and all. So this is a 2-to-1 gear ratio, and where a lot of these might be on the gear ratios 1.86 and all this on and on. There's so many 1.56. So this is the original one from the boat. I'm gonna give it a little bath here, but sadly enough this is broke down here on the bottom. I'm gonna see about getting that repaired. This unit's still good though. It's just dirty. I've had it stored over in the staircase, and if I go through this, and I've already bought like the gasket sets and different things for it and all, timing belt, the idlers, just a bunch of different stuff I've already bought and got ready for it. I'll break it down. I'll check out the head and make sure all the valves are good. I'll replace those pistons inside, and they're expensive. They're $500 each without the rings. There's some I can get that are not as good a quality pistons for 300 something bucks each. And I tell you what, for the difference, I'd rather just spend it on the top quality ones, knowing that this high performance diesel here, that those cylinders would get hot on top. I want those good solid ceramic coated pistons in there on it. So it's going to be an expensive endeavor. 4 pistons, man, you're already looking at a couple grand right there. Plus you still got to buy the rings. And then we'll check out the head and make sure it's all really good. The gasket set wasn't that bad for this entire motor head gasket. You know, every gasket on it, the complete set, I bought it for $157. So that wasn't bad at all. But this is not a done deal. I have not tanked this. I got the motor mount bolts all in. I need to tighten up the front ones and snug them down really good, but they're in there all properly. Everything's just so nice. Everything's working out so perfect. The main power cables are all ran in right now. Right now at this moment, I can literally, you know, be real close to cranking the motor up. It's just not that far away. Hook up a return line and a fuel line. I do need to start filling up the fuel tank with gasoline. Well, it's time to do the risers here on the boat, and they're still in good condition. Surprisingly, being around salt water, I don't think this boat actually had that much running time on it, and what time it had was a little bit abuseful, I can tell. But I left them on the motor while I set it in. I did not want to take a chance of anything falling down those manifolds, which of course even right now have rags in them. But I just want them all there and in place, and I said I'll just slide them back up after I get the motor set in. And right now I'm prepping the surfaces on them and getting ready to put new gaskets on there, and those are just extremely important. So I've been here taking my orbital sander here and going over these. I hit this one here. The surfaces all still look good on it, and there's not a whole lot of bad rusting or flaking on the inside or anything like that. Overall, they look pretty good. And then these are those riser extensions, big old stainless steel blocks, and I'm cleaning them up here right now also. So the bolts to these, I'm going to be sure and put an anti-seize on the end of them, and I'm actually going to repaint the bolts. I cleaned them up in a video here a while back. Took some surface rust off of them, but I decided I want to paint them, and I've got this high heat Rust-Oleum right here, and that'll give those boats more, not boats, and that'll give those bolts more longevity also. And the anti-seize is where it goes up into the manifold, which just is all inverted right now, and that will keep that from ever locking in and rusting in case I have to pull these again in the future. I don't have to worry about a bolt breaking off or anything like that.
Your father's there.
You're crazy.
Until she turned her face aside. She's too old to try again. God was to remember how what a special woman is. It was the worst winter since 80.
Thank you. When you come back, Spencer? I don't come back. This is goodbye. Last ride for a friend is free. Thank you.
You said stay close. Ow.
Let's go.
Good morning, everybody. Well, my friend Mike came in from back in Texas. He's downstairs right now, him and his fiance. But he brought my windows for my boat, man. I'm so excited to get these. Very nice. Bought these off eBay, and they were shipped to the house in Texas. They were only like $78 or something for all four of them, and free shipping from somebody that was salvaging out a boat. And man, look what great shape they are in too. Just nice. The screens are nice, everything very nice. The rubber's all really good in them. So when I had priced on eBay to have them shipped here to the Philippines instead of to the US, well, instead of free shipping, it was going to be $187 shipping. It was going to take months to get here. So I said, Mike, man, if I send those to Texas, will you stick them in your suitcase and bring them? He said, absolutely. So here they are. So this is the original windows here, and this is all fogged over. It's just black. You can't see through it. It's just useless. You can just see a little color come through inside. No air moves through. They're just really serve nothing, more like a decoration. And I can't stand them. I wanted something a whole lot better. So this is the replacement. I got it over one of the windows there. And these are also from a Sea Ray, same thing. And man, I'll put those in. Now I got it around backwards right now, but it hinges up inside. It's got a rubber gasket, has a screen, and you can actually see through it. That is going to be a nice upgrade. And I have to just take and saw the opening up just a little bit bigger. I'm not exactly sure yet. I read that it was like 5/8 to 3/4 of an inch bigger around the edge there on it. And there's nothing on the inside that blocks it from that. You're just cutting back a little bit of fiberglass there. So I'm excited for that. And that's going to make such a huge difference, because now it's going to give you more places for airflow inside the cabin, especially in this hot country like this. Not only airflow, you know, you got the hatch above you, but it's just a hatch straight above you. If the wind's the right direction, it might force it down inside. But let's say that you want to keep your main cabin door closed, nighttime or whatever. Now, there's no way that air is going to circulate in there. It's just a hatch open, you know, it would have to force in pressure. So with these, you can open them up from the inside, and you can get a circulation. And in fact, you can buy a hatch fan that will pull air down and blow it out. But the main thing is you get some circulation. Next thing, you can be down in the cabin and look out and see what's going on around you. These see nothing, just nothing.